Hi, my name is Dr. Presley Rankin, and I'm going to give you a brief overview of the changes from APA 6 to APA 7. The reason you need to know this information is because as of the spring quarter, CityU is adopting APA 7 as its official version of APA. What you need to do immediately is to go out and order a new APA 7.0 manual. I prefer the spiral bound, has some nice tabs to help you kind of figure things out. But either version that you want to get is fine, but you must get the manual. Let me tell you why. While there are plenty of websites that will give you information about APA, the manual is the place to go to actually see it implemented. They've really increased the number of examples for this manual, and it has great sections on how to use commas and colons. It goes through grammar, it goes through style. It taught me things that I had forgotten from when I was an English major. So there are really important sections in the manual, and you should really take the time to read it beginning to end if you're serious about doing research and writing academic papers. If you plan to defend your dissertation after the spring 2020 term, this is for doctoral students, you must have your dissertation formatted in APA 7. Our major editors are already on APA 7, so you shouldn't have a problem with that, but you do need to learn it yourself. Also for doctoral students, we do have a dissertation template that has been updated to APA 7.0. The dissertation template is meant to help you by setting the styles and other things that you need to make sure your dissertation is formatted properly. The template, however, is not meant to be a crutch. You do need to understand how to use styles, how to format, what margins are. All of these things are important because they will really make a difference in the dissertation and the formatting. Having to reformat your dissertation could take you days, and you don't want to be in that place. Okay, so there are some big changes in APA 7.0. Most of them have been designed to make things more simple. They finally ended the debate over one or two spaces. Two spaces was designed for publishers to make it easier to see on the printed page. However, it has now been decided that one space is a better version, and so now one space it is. We can now use the they. It's acceptable and encouraged instead of using he or she. It's better to use they. It is a neutral pronoun, and they are making it singular. So it is part of Merriam-Webster's new push to formalize this singular use of they, them, their, and theirs, and themselves. So these all can be used to refer to singular people, but instead of using he or she. The use of first person when talking about what you've done is encouraged. If you're talking about your methodology or something you've done as part of your research, you should use first person. Do not try to use third person. But if you're referring to others, like if you are on a team and other people in the team were working on the project, you want to refer to them in third person. Tables and figures are now formatted the same, so it's one formatting for both, but you will want to look at those examples. You use quote marks around examples now instead of italics, but you still use italics for words that are defined or for emphasis. The other thing is student papers do not need to look like professional papers. So student papers are much more simplified. There's no more running head. The title page is really just the essential information. Professional papers, however, have a more complex look. But if you're doing your student papers, you don't have to worry about that. One of the biggest things is they're changing the way we do references. And instead of doing the longer references, they're really working to shorten references and make them more simple. So a couple of the things you need to know is you no longer use retrieved from. You want to use the URL or a hyperlink, and the hyperlink should be the DOI number for journal articles. Do not use the proxy CityU hyperlink in papers that you are going to be turning in for academic purposes. You can use them in class papers, but again, you won't use retrieved from. However, it's a good idea to get in the habit of using the DOI number. It's better for these particular situations, and it will get you better set to do any kind of thesis or dissertation you may do. Oh, and it is okay to hyperlink the text. So you no longer have to remove the hyperlinks from your work. You can let the text be hyperlinked. So you would not use DOI, blah, 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 blah. You'd use https://doi.org, blah, blah, blah. Again, this is a clickable link now, so the person could find the work that you're doing, which is what references and citations are all about. There's also no period at the end of the hyperlink, so you do not need to use a period there. One of the big things that's going to excite people is that we no longer spell out the authors in the first instance if there are 3 or more. So if there are 3 or more authors, you automatically use Jones et al. 2010. So you can use et al. Immediately if there are 3 or more authors. However, if there are 2 authors, you still want to list them. Now, on the negative side, if you're in your reference list, you now have to list 20 authors. What used to be that you could list like 10 of them, I think, something like that, and then you'd put the ... to let people know there were more authors that you're not listing. Now you have to go up to 20 in order to satisfy that. Headings are changing. Instead of the headings being the heading 1 being centered, that's the same. Heading 2 is the same to the left. Heading 3 used to be indented and start a sentence. And you would write heading 3 and make it bold and put a period after it and then start your paragraph. Heading 3 is now also left justified. It's capitalized and it is italicized. That's the difference now. So heading 3 would also be on the left and not have words after it. There would be another word. Follow that. The examples in the book are really good to show you how to do these things. Again, it's really important that you get the manual. I cannot overemphasize that. I've used many different websites to try to do APA, and nothing is as good as having the manual. The manual, you can also put tabs in to help yourself understand it more. So that's something to note. Another thing is you're always going to include the issue number for journals. It used to be you wouldn't include the issue number if a journal wasn't paginated. I'm not really sure how to say that word. But if there were pages listed, you wouldn't use the issue number. Instead, now though, we always use the issue number, so that's a new thing. And in a great excitement for all of us, you no longer need to use the publisher, city, and state in your references for a book. Now you just use the publisher's name. So what does this all look like? Ta-da! Journal entry here, similar to what you've done before. Still using lowercase for the title, except for the beginning and for after any punctuation like a colon. The title of the journal is now is italicized, which it was before. Everything else is the same, except now there's no retrieve from, and there's no DOI. It's just you use the HTTPS DOI number for the reference there. Book entries are now super simple. Just have the author's last name, the initial, the year, title, italicized, also sentence case, and then just the publisher. No need to have a city or state or anything else after that. So that is it for some of the main updates. It's really not that hard. It actually makes things easier. One of the things you will note that they have a lot more examples in the manual now, including examples of websites, examples of how to do like YouTube or Facebook. And this is all updated and is simplified to make things easier when you're writing. So go out and buy the manual now, get it, have it in your house, start using it. APA 7 is the way we're going from now on. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful rest of your day.